Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. In today's video, we are going to be doing a reading and energy update for our beautiful collective here on YouTube. Wow, there has been so much that has been coming through, and there's a lot that I want to talk about in this reading video. So thank you for being here, and bear with me because there are just a lot of layers here to unpack. And the first thing that kind of came through is I sort of feel like our collective can't catch a break with this energy lately. The sense that I keep getting is like the feeling of trying to stabilize and trying to return to a semblance of a kind of routine in a way, or a feeling of normalcy, or like an emotional baseline, and then feeling almost like you're being sabotaged from doing that, or distracted or sidelined in some way. So you might be noticing that every time you kind of feel like you are getting a grip on the energy and you are sort of starting to ride the waves, you feel like you get a little bit knocked down again. And I feel that this is what I want to use as a starting point, because if this is happening to you, what you need to know first is this isn't an indication that something is going wrong, and it's not a sign of any kind of weakness within you. It's actually a sign of your growth, because what I'm picking up on here is there are things surfacing for you that are very connected with root energy patterns that you've been dealing with and carrying around for a long time. And it's almost as though your system is saying, I'm ready to be free of this, and I'm ready to live in a more peaceful way, on like a deeper level. I'm ready to no longer carry this around with me subconsciously. And that word subconsciously is kind of a key here, because I'm getting that a lot of what's surfacing for you that might feel so random is actually coming from the subconscious. So there's this sense that you are actually ready for the next level of something. And in fact, you've already been moving into that energetically, and you've been feeling the spaciousness of that next level. You've been catching these glimpses and flashes of just how good that is all going to be. And this is that kind of vision coming together that we've been talking about in some of the recent readings. It's like you're really beginning to see how everything is going to be fitting together. It's almost like you're getting these little windows of insight into what this next iteration of you and your life is going to look like. And it's huge, and you're ready for it, and you're not too late for it. It's perfectly on time. For some reason, I really felt the need to say that, because we've been talking a lot lately about this cognizance of time, the passage of time, concepts around time like aging, and how society holds so many false matrix programs around time and aging and progression through time and all of these things. And if you're part of this collective, you are very likely someone who has been doing life in a timing that looks very different to other people. Oh, okay, I'm picking up on a message here. I don't know who this is for, but there's a very specific message coming through for a certain group of people who will listen here, who actually, okay, let me see if I can translate this message from energy to words. So maybe that's what you're doing, because for some reason I felt guided to say that maybe you're doing something in your life where you're translating energy into either words or into some other kind of physical form, whether it's art, music, some expression of energy. But anyway, I'm getting that for someone listening, your life has felt as though your timing has been very out of sync from other people's timing. And the reason for this specific group is because early in your life, you took on a lot of very heavy forms of patterning that then needed to be deconstructed. I'm getting that word deconstructed very strongly. And I'm getting that for someone listening, while other people your age, when you were like a child or a teenager or a young adult, were exploring and playing and maybe even figuring out things like dating and like romantic relationships and figuring out who they were on like this individual level or what career they wanted to do. It's almost like during all of those formative times, you were carrying a weight that was so ancient and so heavy and like far beyond your earth years. Like you may have looked like you were a child or a teen or a young adult, but you were carrying so much weight. I'm hearing like it felt almost like the weight of the world that you were carrying on your shoulders because of certain systems that you incarnated into, whether it was a family system or a belief system. It's almost like you took on a very challenging life path as a soul. And I don't know what this is for you personally, but I know that you know what this is. And because of this patterning that you took on, it's as though you then had to go through this profound unraveling. And so there was this period of time where you became conscious of what you were carrying around and you had to start deprogramming it. You had to unravel it. And that was a whole separate phase. And so you had this phase initially where you felt like everyone around you was quote unquote normal and just living their lives and exploring and playing and knowing what it was like to just be quote unquote like young and free. And in those years, you were carrying around so much burden and so much weight emotionally and energetically. And I'm hearing it was never yours to carry, but it was yours to transmute. So I'm getting that it's almost like this inherited energy. It may have literally come from your family's line or just, again, been some kind of system or pattern that you were born into. But the difference between you and other people who take on those patterns is there's some mechanism in your energy system that does not allow you to bypass feeling. And so what I'm getting is, whereas many people who were born into those kinds of systems would just repress and kind of shove down that programming or never really engage with it, you have this mechanism in your energy that doesn't really allow you to bypass, at least not for long. And whenever you try, your whole life, like whenever you've tried to pretend that you're not feeling something or bypass something emotionally or energetically, it always seems to come back even more strongly in this form of backlash because it's almost like you were born without that mechanism that allows you to repress. Your system is constantly feeling and through that feeling, processing whatever it is feeling. And this is definitely a double-edged sword, as they say, because on the one hand, this means that you've never been able to bypass the emotional work. You can't really, in your whole life, you may have felt like you can't catch a break. I mean, we were talking about this happening recently, but your whole life, you may have felt as though you're never really able to just ignore what's going on, either collectively or internally or emotionally. You're so attuned to energies, and your system does not let you shut down those feeling mechanisms in the way that other people do. This means that you experience life very differently because you feel everything to the maximum degree. And so the beauty of something sometimes can almost move you to tears. Like I'm hearing something about the beauty of a sunset, or when you look at a piece of artwork or hear a piece of music, it's like those mechanisms that block you from being able to repress feeling that don't exist within you in the same way that they exist in some others. Your lack of that kind of buffer or barrier allows you to feel things to such a high degree, but that works in both directions. So you can feel the beauty of a sunset and let it move you, and songs can give you chills and connect with your heart in such a deep way. And when you speak to someone, you can feel their story as though it's your own, like in your own being, in your own emotions. But the other side of all of that is that you are not as buffered from feeling even the negatives and the weight and the heaviness. And you took a lot of that on in your patterning and programming in this lifetime because you are a very strong and ancient soul. And you knew that this was not going to be an easy task, but you came here to transmute something very deep and very ancient and heavy for an entire collective. And this collective could be a family system. This could be a community or people who might belong to a certain group. This could be for a whole society. I don't know what this is for you, but there's like this collective of people whose expansion is directly connected to yours, and you are kind of leading the way in a sense, except you've been doing this since you were a child, and this has always been a lot for you to carry. And so the sense that I'm getting is that you're getting to this point in your life where all of that work you've been doing, that transmutation, I should say the positive side of this is beginning to show itself because you, through all of that, have also been carving out this vision and this future of your life that is more expansive than most people could ever really imagine for themselves. It's the other side of that equation. When you do that transmutation work, you're carving out like this space within your being and in your life that can hold even more light and even more beauty and abundance because you had the wherewithal to carve out that space through doing that kind of heavy lifting work. But the sense that I get is that things in your life are shifting. So it's almost like the first part of your life was about being born into these very heavy, challenging circumstances. And it was very heavy and very dense. And then there was this unraveling phase where you've been deprogramming all of that and teaching yourself. It's almost like, I call this growing up backwards. It's almost like your life path is backwards for most people because most people are born into more lightness and more play and adventure and free-spiritedness and openness. And I feel you were actually born into an environment that was colder and harsher and stricter and more rigid. And so it's almost like you've had to grow up backwards in the sense that you've actually, when you were younger, it's like you had all of this heaviness and this weight and so much you were carrying around emotionally. And now you're learning how to be more childlike in the sense that you're learning how to be more receptive to love, how to be softer, how to live more in the moment like a child, how to play, how to create, how to be more open. And so the first part of your life was about everything that you were clearing. And now you've cleared the space for, I'm hearing the good part. I feel this is where things really start to get good for you. But if you're listening to this reading, you might be questioning that because lately you've been feeling a lot of the opposite. So I want to get into that as well because the sense that I get is that lately you've actually been feeling almost some of those like wounds or root patterns rearing their ugly head, so to speak. And you've almost felt like things that you thought that you healed that are very connected with those root core patterns that may have come from your childhood have been surfacing again or coming to you in like these waves. But the sense that I kept getting is like, I was seeing this snake, which of course makes sense because we just exited the year of the snake, but I was seeing this snake and it was like writhing kind of, but then it looked like there were all of these sparks coming out of it and it was almost like burning up in a way, but it wasn't like an actual snake. It was like a snake's skin in a sense. I don't know. It was a very strange imagery, like a snake shedding its skin. And then that snake skin was sort of like burning up in a way. And I feel like this is you burning up those old layers of you, that old snake skin that no longer fits your expansion, this iteration of you, this new vision of you that you're stepping into. But ironically, in those last phases of the purge of the year of the snake, I'm getting that you actually felt some of that old skin that you've grown out of even more strongly than ever before. And so it's been really intense. And again, a lot of this has been coming from your subconscious, and it actually speaks to what you are letting go, what you are burning away, not something that is resurging. And that seems to be a very important message. I saw the number 1515, so that could be significant to someone, but it seems important for you to know that what you've been feeling as far as those fears or those anxieties or like those waves of quote unquote negative emotion, it's not been something that you're stepping back into or like a resurgence of energy. It's actually you feeling what is being processed out of your being. And I've been speaking on this, but this is happening subconsciously and automatically. There's also this feeling that whenever we try to fight that process, it just almost like forces us back into it. It's almost like we've been meant to feel everything. And all we can really do right now, and all we've been doing, is facilitating that process. Like in a way, allowing it to happen on those subconscious levels through listening to our physical bodily systems and signals, giving ourselves nourishment, rest, movement, care, deep breathing, meditation, a warm bath, saging our space, whatever we need to do, like doing those things to facilitate this process of clearing that is happening within us seems to be so essential at this time. And I'm getting that you've been doing a lot of that. Now, on the other hand, there's been this other thing happening where this new vision has been coming into focus. And I've been speaking about this as well, but there's this sense that your life is about to get really good and that everything you've done up until this point, the systems that you were born into, everything you deprogrammed and unraveled has been leading you to this very moment. And I just keep hearing the good part. And I know I said that before, but it feels so true here that like this is when things finally get good for you. And I feel that you've been sensing this coming for a long time, and you've been seeing glimpses of this vision coming together. But the temptation is to jump on it too quickly and to burn yourself out while the clearing and the cleansing and the burning away process is still occurring or finishing up in a way. And so the message I'm getting is like, you're being asked to do something that may feel very complicated at this time, which is you're being asked to be able to hold this vision as it is assembling itself energetically, as it's clicking into place, to be able to hold this excitement that you're feeling for this new vision that you can feel beginning to unfold energetically, even if you're not seeing it unfold yet physically, while at the same time not feeling the need to rush the process. Because one of the major patterns that I feel being burned away right now is a pattern of urgency, which is of course connected with those false time matrix programs we've been talking about. Because when we feel urgency, when we feel like, oh, I have to jump on this now or do this now, or I have to push myself in these ways now, that urgency is coming from a fear program around us somehow not having enough time to accomplish what we know that we came here to do or the things that we want to do in this lifetime. And so I feel it's very important for you to not allow urgency to guide you, but to truly allow your intuition and feeling of inspiration to guide you, to not create when you're feeling urgent, but to create when you're feeling as though you are in a state of overflow because you've rested and you've nourished yourself and you've cared for yourself and you're feeling balanced, and then moving from that state of overflow instead of urgency. And in fact, those urgent patterns are part of what is being burned away right now. And that's part of what you might be feeling even more strongly. Like some of these anxieties you feel may be around, oh no, if I don't take action right now, I'm going to be too late, or somehow I already missed some kind of window in my life, or I didn't start this early enough, or I should have done this or that at that age, or what if I don't do this or that by this upcoming age, or whatever it is for you. It feels like that urgency is connected to a false time program that is part of what we are clearing, not just for ourselves, but for the entire collective, because of course, whatever you do clear for yourself, you're actually clearing for that collective that is connected to you that I've been talking about, where it's like you somehow leveling up and choosing to move forward with courage and with confidence and peace and connectedness to yourself. You choosing to do that is, in a way, giving permission to an entire collective of people to do the same thing. Not that they couldn't find that permission for themselves, but it's making them easier. It's making it easier for them to find that permission for themselves, because you are having the breakthrough that is showing other people what is possible. And again, I keep getting that so much of this is connected to the timing of your life, or something to do with age, like you showing that things can be done at any age or in any timing, that you can move at your own pace and stay connected to yourself and accomplish whatever dreams or visions you hold for yourself in your own authentic timing, in the rhythm and the timing that is connected to your own intuition and your own soul, and that you don't have to live by anyone else's false standards or false rules around timing. So that is kind of speaking to this whole layer that I've been picking up on here. And I wanted to talk on that, but there is a more specific message and thread of energy coming through. And I'm not sure if it's related at all. I guess we'll kind of see if it's related. It could be completely separate, but it's something I woke up with today. And I picked up on, I'm getting chills just as I'm starting to channel into this. I picked up on a very romantically charged energy, which means this won't be for everyone, but I picked up on some kind of soul contract. And so the soul contract that I was picking up on is very complex. And the first thing I wrote down about this is, if they're still coming up in your consciousness, it's for a reason. And I also wrote down, they're calling out to you across the void that divides you. And so I'm picking up on a very specific romantic soul contract, and I'm going to explain what I'm sensing from this so you will know if it's for you. Again, this part of the reading won't be for everyone, but what I'm getting is that with this person, there was some kind of unexplainable drop-off in connection, or it felt unexplainable from a human perspective. And let me explain. So it felt as though things were moving along or progressing, and I'm hearing that you were even kind of surprised that things were progressing. And I'm not sure where this surprise is coming from, but I'm hearing different levels of evolution. It may have been that you kind of sensed that you and this person were sort of in different places spiritually, or something about this was surprising to you. Like you were surprised that this connection was progressing at all, but this person was deeply curious about you, and they seemed to keep wanting to come back into your life or to move things forward. And it's almost like the sense I'm getting is that every day you would kind of wake up with this feeling of like, oh, is this the day that this person is just going to leave my life? And I don't know why you were feeling that. It was definitely an intuitive thing, because you're very intuitive. And I do get the sense that there was something mystical about the way that you were staying connected, as though it was kind of happening from across the void, even back then, even if there were, and most likely there were, physical aspects to your connection, like you were communicating or texting or calling or messaging or maybe meeting up in person. But I'm getting that something about it always felt a bit mystical, almost like the two of you were meeting across different worlds. And I don't know if there was a level of secrecy as well, not necessarily hiding something, but it's almost as though the both of you didn't really fit in the other's physical world, and yet there was some bridge point that connected the two of you and caused you to meet anyway. And so there was always this level of, I wonder how I've even met or connected with this person. I mean, for some of you, maybe this isn't romantic. Maybe this is a friendship or some other kind of person that you connected with, but I'm just getting a very strong romantic vibe for many of you listening. So what I'm getting is like, some things were always left unsaid and completely undefined. For some of you, this may have really walked the line between friendship and muse and something deeper, something soul related and something romantic. It's almost like all of those things kind of blended together. And there was almost this underlying feeling of what is this, but it was never spoken out loud. I know I'm getting so specific with this. You're going to have to let me know. I mean, if you feel guided to it in the comments, if this part of the reading is for you, because this is so specific for me to be including in a collective reading, but it wants to come through so badly. So I'm going to give it a space here. Clearly, someone here really needs to hear this message and has been dealing with this. I don't even know why this is surfacing in the energy now, because so much of what has been happening for you feels so deeply personal and like your story, your transformation. And yet here there is this seemingly random romantic thread of energy that I'm hearing from your perspective feels like it should have ended a long time ago. And yet it's still here in your consciousness, even though I do feel like there has been some kind of an ending or a disconnect physically, or at least it would appear that way. But for some reason, this person keeps recurring in your consciousness. And the strange thing about this is I'm getting that it's almost as though right now you're in this like almost curious state about this. I feel like you have moved forward with your life and you don't really feel the same angst or like emotion necessarily attached to this person that you may have felt in the past. Like I do feel initially it was really difficult to let this person, it's not even a walking away. And I need to get into that. I was going to say let them walk away, but it's almost like they didn't really walk away. There was like a drop off here. And I know this is going to sound so strange, but what I wrote down is spiritually, it's as though there was this window in your soul contract that just expired. And so it's almost like in that window, things kept moving forward and it may have even been unexpected to you. Again, there's that element of surprise, like, wow, I'm surprised this person is still talking to me, not because you doubt yourself or anything, but just because you know that you and this person come from very different worlds. I feel you are very aware that your presence tends to trigger things within other people that they aren't always ready for. And so it's almost this psychic thing about you where sometimes you can meet someone and you just know, like, I am going to trigger something in this person that is going to cause them to not be able to connect with me or like be friends with me or move forward with me romantically. Like you just sometimes know, like when you meet someone, you can sense it about them that you are a bit more than they're ready for, and that your presence in their life is going to trigger some things within them that they're going to feel intimidated by. And a lot of times, because this has happened frequently for you, you're actually able to pick up on that from someone's energy, even in the first conversation. And I'm getting that you kind of got that with this person. Like you knew that they were drawn to you. You knew that they were curious about you, but you could also sense that you were triggering some things in them that you didn't know how they were going to handle. And yet I feel I'm hearing cautiously, they may have been cautious, but they cautiously kept moving forward. Like I'm getting that they were very paced about it, almost like they themselves were aware that you were bringing up things within them that they didn't know really quite what to do with. And yet, step by step, in their own cautious way, they kept moving closer to you. And I feel that there was some kind of moment I'm hearing where the spell was broken, where something that had been unspoken and undefined wanted to come into form and maybe even did kind of break over into the surface level. And it became kind of this point of no return because something that had been left unsaid, undefined, unspoken came into the physical, even just a little bit. And I feel that is the moment where this person's caution turned into shutdown in a way. So for some reason, I keep seeing a kiss. For some of you, maybe you shared a kiss with this person if it was romantic, or maybe it was some other form of physical contact, like you held hands, or maybe it was something that was said, or a tone of someone's voice or just like a moment. I feel there was a moment where the spell was broken. And when I say the spell was broken, I mean the illusion that this could just be something light and casual and wouldn't be life-changing was broken. Like that spell was broken. And this person, it's almost like they'd been trying to cautiously move forward with you because they were so drawn to you and attracted to you and curious about you. But beneath the surface, there was this subtle transformation happening within them that was actually going to alter the course of their entire life. But it's almost like they were trying to hide that aspect from themselves consciously because they knew that if they let themselves see how life-changing your presence in their life was going to be, they knew that it would freak them out on some conscious level, and their soul wanted to keep moving forward with you. But there was some moment where that spell was broken, where they couldn't hide that transformation you started within them from themselves consciously anymore. It became too obvious to them on a conscious level, and it caused them to shut down in a way all of a sudden. And I'm getting that, again, there was like some drop off, but even in the drop off, there was never an explanation. I'm getting that they never explained to you why, like what they were feeling during the time, or they never explained to you either that they had dropped off. It's like, it just kind of seemed to, it was almost like, it wasn't even a fizzling out. It was sudden. And it was almost like the two of you went back into your separate worlds, but you both now still share the memory of how you connected across those worlds. And there's still an aliveness in that thread that connects the two of you. And I'm getting that the aliveness of this connection thread is very confusing to you because it's been quite a while at this point, I feel, since you've heard from this person in a meaningful way. You may have tried to communicate with them, but you probably didn't really get past the surface level, even if you did have a conversation. So it's been a while since you've really had a heart-to-heart with this person, or since you've really connected. But I'm getting that it's almost like, especially in the morning, because I felt this morning for you, like a lot of times when you wake up, they're just kind of in your mind, or you might dream of them frequently. It's so obvious that this thread between you is still alive. And I feel like you keep trying to kind of tell yourself that it's not there because, I mean, you don't know what to do with this on your end. I feel there really isn't anything for you on your side of things to be doing with this, except this message coming through is meant to acknowledge some of what you've been sensing. And I really am getting that it's nagging on this person very strongly. And I am getting that, again, there's like a reason that this connection is still alive in your consciousness, and it's something that you both seem to be feeling, and especially this other person, because I just get the sense of it nagging on them in a really strong way. So in the extended version of this reading, I'm going to continue this kind of thread of energy and this message coming up here. So we'll use this as a starting point. If this has been connecting for you and you want to keep going deeper with this message, then the link to get the extended reading is in the pinned comment or the description box under this video. So yeah, we're just going to dive deep into what is still open between the two of you, what this person might be thinking or feeling now that we're kind of caught up to speed on what's been going on in your connection. Also, I just want to figure out why they're still coming up in your energy, especially right now of all times, when you're going through such a profound transformation in your own life. It seems so strange that this person is still connecting with you in some kind of way, but there has to be some kind of reason. So we'll get into all of that there. But if you are stopping off here, I want to tie up this reading with a Rumi Oracle card. So let's see what Rumi has to say. I know I didn't end up pulling a single card this entire reading, which I feel that's been happening a bit more recently. There was just so much to unpack and so much to share right from the energy field. It felt like we were just plucking it right from the quantum. And I really do love those readings where I just feel like I'm in flow with all of you guys and we're all connecting here collectively, and the messages really are just kind of flowing through that connectedness. So thank you for being here. And if you want to continue on this journey with me and be here as we keep supporting each other and loving each other, and in a way, energetically holding each other's hands through this storm of transformation, which actually is such a beautiful beginning for you. If you want to be part of that, of course, I would love to have you here. Feel free to subscribe to the channel to stay connected with that energy. I love this community of mutual support and upliftment that we are cultivating here every single day together. So just thank you for being part of that. And of course, you're welcome to join us here if you haven't yet and you are feeling guided to subscribe. So the card that wants to come through here is a new gown. Love embraced my spirit and all my doubts vanished at once. A new and glorious robe of honor was placed on my shoulders. You are stepping into empowerment in a new way, and it is to be honored. Do not allow yourself to be dragged into dramas or power games. You are worth so much more than that. Be in the dignity of your heart. It is your divine purpose that urges you onward. Trust in what is unfolding. So I am going to go ahead and leave this reading here. I think we've touched upon the major points in the energy that wanted to come through. Although, of course, if you do want to keep diving in deeper to all of the messages here, the extended reading is always available for you under this video if you're feeling intuitively nudged towards that at all. And if not, then I trust that you've received whatever you need to hear or receive from this reading here and now. And I am wishing you a beautiful remainder of your day and week. I would love to come on with some more content, some extra mini readings. So we will see if I'm able to create anything like that. The energy has been so intense, and it's felt like this, in a way, like a deep emotional excavation. So I feel like I haven't been posting as much additional content lately because I've definitely been feeling all of that too, along with all of you. But I hope you are nourishing yourself, sleeping well, taking care of yourself during this energy, just letting the process keep happening subconsciously because it is happening for you. And I want to close with this one final thought, which is, I know that for someone listening, it may have felt recently, especially, like you've kind of been running in circles, but I want you to know that even when you feel like you're spiraling, you're actually walking up a spiral staircase of your own transformation. And just give yourself a moment to look and to see how far you've progressed and how far you've come in so many ways, even if it has felt at times like a looping or a spiraling, because that is how healing feels. It's not linear. It's not a straight line or step by step. It is like moving in spirals until you one day look down and realize how far you've climbed as you've felt like you've been spiraling. So I just want to leave you with that. I love you. Take care. And I will connect with you here again in Friday's reading.